welcome in everybody to Lock and Live for NFL Week 12 with Uncle Phil and Smooth Andy. Thanks everyone for joining us this Sunday morning. Hope you're doing well. Uncle Phil, Smooth Andy, how are you guys doing?
Good. Yesterday, winning day, went 4-2. Probably should have gone 5-1. Avoided the snake pit. Again, thanks to everybody who got the notebook. I'm sure you did well. Heard from many of you. But anyway, looking forward to NFL. NFL has just been really good to us lately. Good to me. I have really been locked in everything I've done. The public plays, last 44 public plays I've given out, I've gone 68%, 30 and 44. Just outstanding. So excited about the week. Love this time of year. Love being able to know the teams better and kind of understand what they're all trying to do at this point and understanding what their limitations are. So excited about the day, excited about the week. What about you, Smooth Andy?
Yeah, this week didn't come out as I'd hoped. I've got a couple bets I really do like a lot, but I got a couple that popped up that I'll tell you about those in a bit. That popped up that tell me I should bet them, but I'm not. I'm not going to do it. But I'm going to send them out anyway on Twitter, and if you'd like to do it, you're welcome to.
Yeah, Smooth Andy hates his bets, but plays the indicators. We love it. Well, guys, let's just jump right in. Uncle Phil, where are you heading first? I know you're red hot, so first pick here, people are going to be waiting for it.
Yeah, look, I hadn't been able to. This is kind of one of those weeks. It's kind of like I have these weeks kind of maybe twice a year, and I really don't set out to go this route. And there were plenty of teams that I liked and favorites and underdogs, but my strongest picks, and that's kind of what I looked at when I whittled things down, were mostly totals this week. And that's what I like the most. And so I've got one over for you and I've got one under for you this week. My over for you is we're going to Indianapolis, where Detroit's playing Indianapolis. Look, Jared Goff is excellent against zone defense. And that's what Gus Bradley primarily plays. So he's going to be slinging the ball a lot. Detroit's averaging about 38 points a game. Indianapolis, on the other hand, they don't run the ball very well. And Detroit, due to injuries, is banged up and has some deficiencies. Obviously, cornerback Taron Donald's out today with a groin injury. Linebacker Alex Anzalone got injured last week, got his forearm broken. So, and he's their kind of their captain, their defense. So again, they have some injuries there. So I think this game's going to be a really entertaining game. And I think it's going to be high scoring. Give me the over 50.5 for my first best bet. The next best bet, I'm going to do just the opposite. I'm going under, and I'm going to go to Washington, where Dallas plays Washington today. Look, Dallas was complete trash on Monday night. There's not a whole lot you can fix. You can't fix Cooper Rush in 1 week, but and you've got some injuries on the offensive line. Look, I know their game plan. Their game plan this week is to run the ball and try to limit possessions of Washington, and they may potentially do that. I like Washington probably to cover the spread, but I didn't play that one. Didn't play it in my notebook because I don't fully trust Washington. They just haven't been right since Jaden Daniels has been hurt, and he's not running a lot. So my suspicions are, Dallas is getting Deron Bland back as well. So I look for this game to be a heavy dose. Brian Robinson, running the ball for Washington. And I think this probably goes under, and I'm going to go under 45 as my next best bet.
Love it. Looking forward to those two and the rest of the totals you'll be playing. Smooth Andy, how about you? Where are you heading?
Okay, I'm going to give two out right now. I did give one out on Thursday. Cleveland, they covered, and that was a good one. I've got two more today. I'm going to go with Vegas over Denver. And San Francisco over Green Bay. I in both cases, or especially with San Francisco as banged up as they are, I know it's gotten pretty crazy and the line has moved a lot. But obviously the world is on Green Bay and things aren't as simple as just saying, well, San Francisco's banged up, I'll bet Green Bay and give the points. It's never that simple. And I trust Kyle Shanahan is going to find a way to get this team to play well. I'm a little, like Uncle Phil just mentioned, he's a little skeptical of Washington. I'm a little skeptical of Green Bay. I think they're a good team, but I don't feel like in a situation like this they just have a lock on this game. In the case of Vegas, I think Denver's been flying really high. Obviously, I'm following numbers. I don't really do this based on, oh, well, I'm going to fade somebody who's hot or whatever, but I like it when I see a team pop up that is playing against a team that looks like a juggernaut right now after last week when Denver destroyed Atlanta. So I'm going to be on Vegas in that one. I also have two other ones that I'm going to just announce now that I'm not betting, but my spreadsheets told me to bet, which is Dallas with Cooper Rush against Washington. I may live to regret this. Maybe they'll put something together, get up for a big division rival or something like that. But I cannot put money on Cooper Rush again. I think I bet him the last 2 weeks and lost my money both times. Maybe he'll win this week and I'll feel bad about it, but whatever. I'm just gonna cut that one loose. Same thing is true with the Giants. I know I'm betting on Brandon Allen with San Francisco, which is a bit of a mystery, but I trust Shanahan that he got him pretty well prepared. And I haven't really seen Allen play much to where I can say, well, he just can't do it. I am not a big Tommy DeVito fan from his cameos last year. He did win a game or two, but I can't put my money on the Giants with DeVito at quarterback. I'd be more inclined to take Tampa and Washington in those two games, but I'm not. I'm just going to sit them out. So those are mine.
All righty. Well, thanks for that, Smooth Andy. Let's get to the questions. We already got a couple of them coming in. Good questions as always. Wanda Martin on Twitter says, how do you guys feel about the Bears today? +3.
Smooth Andy?
Yep, I've got the Bears today. They are a 2-indicator bet. I'm on them. It's going to be one of my few early window games. They seem to be skewing toward the 4 o'clock windows and Monday and Sunday night games. But yeah, I've got Chicago today. So if you're looking for an excuse to bet them, I'm giving you one.
Yeah. Look, everything in me wanted to take the Bears today and do that and think that last week's pop was sustainable with Caleb Williams. And I think it could be. Again, I think they're going to run the ball a lot. He was able to Caleb Williams, they really changed the way he looked last week. It was really one read last week and not go through progressions. It was one read, and if it's not there, take off and run. Look, I just don't think he's going to be able to do that against Minnesota today. I think that Chicago's still 1-3 against the spread in their last 4. Minnesota's 2-1 against the spread. I feel like that, the replacement of Darrisaw at left tackle, that Cam Robinson has come in. He's slowly getting integrated. I know Sam Darnold's kind of at a rough spot, but I'd probably lean toward Minnesota on this one. But again, I don't like it well enough to do it. I really wanted to like Chicago, but just everything I was analyzing on this game led me toward Minnesota, but I stayed away. I'm going to, although I know Chicago is probably going to be a very popular dog day. Wouldn't be surprised if they covered or even if they won outright just because it's a divisional game, but I set it out.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for the question, Wanda. Let's keep it going. We got JB on Twitter and Desiree Sullivan. They both want to know what you think about the Bucs-Giants game.
Yeah, I think Smooth Andy just kind of gave his thoughts on that game just a few minutes ago. Look, the Bucs in their I think they've had 4 straight losses, but they were all to teams over 500. Tommy DeVito, Smooth Andy said he wasn't a big fan of him. There's a reason why. Although he had a good couple games last year, he finished statistically in the bottom 2 or are in the bottom two of almost every statistical quarterback category last year. So not going to be that great. I think that Tristan Wirfs being out at left tackle hurts Tampa Bay. I think that I know that them getting Mike Evans back is good. I think that Detroit's getting, or not Detroit, but New York Giants are getting a little bit more healthy on defense. So probably lean toward a lower scoring game. But I could kind of go either way. But again, I just don't think this Giants team's good. I think they've already kind of packed it up. We'll see if they have any fight today. I think if they had inserted Tommy earlier, then maybe. But I think this team's ready to pack it up and go to Cancun. I think they're done. I'd probably lean toward Tampa Bay today. But again, not going to play it. If you really want to play it, I'd tease Tampa Bay down and I'd tease the total up.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for the question, guys. Let's keep going. We got Ryan Chardulu on Twitter. He says Pats 7.5. What are your thoughts, Uncle Phil?
Smooth Andy, what do you think about that game?
I got a lean on New England. Kind of surprised. I would have thought I would have gotten a full-on bet indicator on them, but I didn't. It's a pretty even betting situation with some people. Some books having Miami with the more tickets and some with New England, which was what surprised me. I would have thought New England would be the getting many fewer of the bets. But they they've shown themselves to be pretty competent, and it's really hard to turn down that number. And so I shouldn't be shocked that some of the public is going to support New England today. So lean for me on New England, but I'm happy to sit this one out and just watch. I'll be on New England, I'm sure, more times later in the year. This week I'll just sit them out.
Look, it's certainly very tempting to take a divisional dog in this game. Miami's still warm, so you wonder still about a North team going south this time of year, especially potentially even in the second half. So I might be looking to just again, because I think it's going to be 80 degrees in Miami today, as it should be, and I think that those games like that, teams that are practicing, that are in the north, if the hot weather feels good the first half, but second half that humidity weighs on you like an elephant. So you might look to fade New England in the second half. I personally love the total. It's my bonus pick this week, so I won't talk about that in this game. But here's really the key to this game. And it really comes down to very, very simple with this. The Patriots are 0-4 when Drake May passes 30 or more times in a game, and they are 2-0 when Drake May passes under 30 attempts. And if you think Drake May is going to go under 30 attempts, then New England's probably your side. If you think he's going to be trying to keep up with Tua, because Tua's been just red hot and dynamite since he's come back, then you might go with Miami, even though it's a pretty high spread. It feels pretty high for a divisional game. But again, sitting that one out, but I really like the total in this game.
Well, thanks for the question, Ryan. Next on the line, we got Andrew from Dallas. He says Cardinals +1 seems free with their recent play. What you think, Gunk?
Yeah, that one and the total are both in the notebook, so I'm going to abstain from this question and defer to Smooth Andy.
I do not have a bet on this. I have a lean on Seattle, probably just because they're a divisional dog, I guess. No, actually, that's not it, because I think when I was looking at my spreadsheets earlier, there was still a pick 'em. It had been a pick 'em all week, so maybe it's flipped to +1 or -1 on one team or another. So I've got a lean on Seattle. The public me is I still have the old instincts of wanting to bet certain teams because they've been playing well lately and that kind of stuff that I have to fight through. But my instincts say take Arizona in this game. I kind of just like Andrew said, I kind of want to think this is a good play, but Seattle's a pretty good underdog. So, and it's a division game, so that's a thing. So, I'm going to sit this one out, but this might be my favorite game of today to watch. I think it's going to be really interesting. Although I'll be watching Dallas, Washington too, because it's finally a chance for the Commanders to maybe actually beat Dallas for once. So that's it for me. That's I'm sitting it out, but I could make a case for both sides, and so I'm happy to sit it out.
Well, thanks for the question, Andrew, and thanks for the answer, Smooth, Andy. Let's keep going. We got a question on TikTok. Can the Colts keep it close today?
With Smooth, Andy, what do you think about that?
I hope so. I have a bet on them against Detroit. It feels horrible to step in front of that train, but sooner or later, Detroit's going to slip up. They're going to have just an off week or something. They've been so good. I kind of like betting against teams when they're that good, that dominant, because people sometimes will just pile on and just be like, well, I'm just going to take Detroit. I don't care what the points are the whole year. Indy seems to be the right side to be on this week in terms of being on the same side as the books. The books are saying that Indy is a huge decision for them today. That Detroit, I mean, they're going to get annihilated if Detroit covers this point spread. So I like being on the side of the books. Their desperation. So I'm on Indy today.
Yeah, I mean, look, this was the last game that I pulled off my notebook. I had down to 7 picks, and Indianapolis plus 7.5 was my last pick that I pulled off. And again, it is simply because I expect this game to be a shootout. Obviously, the total is one of my best bets today that I've given out, and I think it's, with Detroit being banged up in the secondary, I think that, this is what, Anthony Richardson loves to do. He loves to sling the ball, and I think the home field gives them advantage. I mean, last week, they were, if you kind of extrapolate that out and say, hey, there's 7.5 point favorites on the road, so it'd be 10.5 at neutral field, it'd be 13.5 at Detroit. It's basically the same spread as the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think this Indianapolis team is a much better roster than Jacksonville is. And so, and especially, Mac Jones at quarterback. Now, not to say Anthony Richardson is great, and one game last week doesn't make him all of a sudden, make him Peyton Manning. But at the same time, I think they've got probably enough. This is kind of one of those sneaky games where I think the public's all over Detroit, as Smooth Andy alluded to. And I think this is a good spot for Indianapolis, even though, based on their history, I can't really justify it. It does seem like it's just a numbers play at this point at 7.5, but I can certainly make some logical arguments about it when you come to Detroit being banged up and a home field advantage.
Well, good stuff. Thanks for the question there on TikTok. We'll take one more question. Pretty interesting one on TikTok. Can Mahomes finally blow out a team? And can Kansas City cover the 11?
Smooth Andy, I'm surprised this one didn't make your – I'm really surprised this one wasn't on your card.
I am a little bit too. But this was getting, depending on which books you're looking at, there were actually there was a book. Don Best actually has Carolina getting 60% of the tickets. That's the other 2 books I tracked had Kansas City getting more of the tickets. But yeah, so it just kind of was a relatively evenly bet game. I thought I'd be on Carolina. I like double-digit dogs and a home dog no less. But that said, I'm not really a big believer in the whole Kansas City loss last week, so they're going to be mad and they're going to make an example out of Carolina kind of routine. I think they're going to go out and do their usual methodical, we've been calling it preseason, the regular season for Kansas City, because when they really expose their capabilities, it always happens like when it matters most in the playoffs. And Bryce Young seems to, and correct me if you think otherwise, but I think he looked pretty good last week. Certainly better than I've seen him look, I think, in the last year and a half. So I don't know that that's sustainable, kind of like with Anthony Richardson, but they do look like they might be getting a little bit better starting, most importantly at quarterback. I mean, there are 21 other starters on that team. But I think Bryce Young has started to show a little bit. We'll see if he can sustain it or not. But I'm not going to, put my money on that happening against Kansas City. Kansas City could win this by 30. They could lose. They won't lose, but they could not cover. I'll put it that way. I don't think they're going to lose. So I'm going to stay away from this one. And I'm interested in what you thought about what you saw from Bryce Young last week.
Yeah, look, I think this could potentially be a little bit of a hangover game for Kansas City. They, were, talking about going undefeated. Even Patrick Mahomes came out after the game and didn't specifically say as much, but he inferred that meant a lot to them. It's like, hey, undefeated, it would have been nice, So clearly they had talked about it. It was something that was important to them. Lost a game to Buffalo. There were, this week they pretty much fired their left tackle. That's a reason that they have been in really struggling games. They signed a guy that was off waivers. He'd been released by a former left tackle by Arizona. He's former All-Pro a few years back, but they signed him this week to try to shore up that. Losing makes you kind of evaluate things. They certainly did that. Probably will get them serious, but again, there's questions in there. We'll see how that works out. Signing a left tackle who coming off an ACL injury. Let's see how he actually does in coming back. It's just like Cam Robinson with Minnesota. It's going to take a few weeks for that to happen. Look, for me, Kansas City since their bye is 1-4 against the spread. Carolina's 2-0 against the spread and straight up in their last two since Bryce Young has come back. Now again, they've beaten the Giants and they've beaten New Orleans. Or reverse actually. After they beat it was the Giants. Yeah, the Giants. Fired Danny DeVito, or they fired Danny Dimes, and New Orleans fired their coach. So not many people think that. Kind of indicative of what teams think of Carolina out there. When Carolina's beating you, something's probably wrong with your organization. To Smooth Andy's point, I don't think Kansas City wins. If you want to do it part of a money line parlay, I certainly could bless that. But if I were playing this game at all, I'd take Kansas City plus the points because, again, that'd be 17-point spread at home. I don't see it. It's too many points for an NFL team, regardless of the franchise. To Smooth Andy's point, Bryce Young has looked really good. His past 2 weeks has probably been his best weeks as a pro. I really like him. The more enticing thing to me is that Kansas City is starting to get their offense ramped up a little bit. They were moving slow the first year. I see them scoring more points. Carolina as well. They are starting to score more points. I would probably say the over 43 is enticing to me as anything about this game. I laid off of it, but that's where I stand.
All right, guys, thanks for the analysis there. About 65 minutes before kickoff. Let's take one more question. I know that you've been talking about player props in the past couple shows, and they've seemed to all pretty much hit. So Andrew from Dallas said, hey, what are the player props this week? Uncle Phil, Smooth, have anything on your radar?
Yeah, I'll probably put one out there. Let Smooth think about it for a minute. Look, I think that Washington scores today, and I think Brian Robinson anytime touchdown is probably a really good best bet. I'll take that as my best bet today.
That is actually the game that popped into my head when I started thinking about it. So I'm on board with that. I'll just co-sign.
All right. Last week was George Pickens. This week we got B. Robinson on the Commanders.
Yeah.
Anytime touchdown. Well, guys, thanks for the questions. Uncle Phil, Smooth Andy, any final thoughts before we take off here?
Smooth Andy, what do you think?
Didn't love the card this week. Hoping that doesn't make any difference in how the outcomes are. Looks like I'm going to be heavy on the 1:00 games, and I'm really hoping that Washington covers and Tampa covers, so that I won't feel bad about not taking the Giants in Dallas. I just don't want to be. I don't want to come up for finally getting wise to the fact that I shouldn't be betting on terrible quarterbacks like this. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah, to me, I felt like going into yesterday's college day felt like a snake pit. That's exactly what it turned out to be. Again, I went 4-2. We avoided the landmines on that. Again, should have probably been 5-1 in that. Today, I don't know. I think that's where that's why I led toward the totals today. That's where the strongest bets were to me because my gut is telling me that today is going to be another snake pit. I think a lot of underdogs cover today. I think the public gets wiped out today. So for me, I'm going with totals today. I think that's a safer play for me. In my notebook, I've got six games that I'm playing. 5 of those are totals. Only 1 is a side. And then I've got 4 teasers in my notebook as well. So, and very comfortable with those. But again, look, guys, good luck today. I think it's going to be a fun, exciting day as always, as it is in the NFL. It's week 12. Again, we only get 18 weeks of this, so enjoy every bit of it. We only got 1 more week of college, of the fireworks show there. So let's enjoy this. But certainly, as always, let's bet responsibly. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Follow Smooth Andy if you hadn't already at Smooth Andy 5 on Twitter. I'm at Uncle Phil's Locks across all the platforms. Again, please, I'm pimping out YouTube and begging you to do that because I'm going to put some extra content on there as well. But guys, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys spending your Sunday morning with me. As always, guys, let's have a day. And as always, let's roll.